The rain hammered down on Fifth Avenue like bullets of ice, but 17-year-old Derek Williams barely felt it anymore. He'd been standing outside the Grand Metropolitan Hotel for 3 hours, holding a cardboard sign that read, "Hungry. Anything helps. God bless." Most people walked past without looking. The ones who did looked through him, as if he were made of glass. Then the Rolls-Royce Phantom pulled up. The door opened, and out stepped a man in a $12,000 suit. Silver hair, piercing blue eyes, the kind of presence that made the air itself seem to straighten up and pay attention. Richard Caldwell, real estate mogul. Net worth, $8.4 billion. Derek had seen his face on the cover of Forbes magazine in a trash can 2 weeks ago. Richard walked straight toward the hotel entrance, but then he stopped. He turned. His eyes locked onto Derek with an intensity that made the boy's breath catch. "You," Richard said, his voice cutting through the rain. "How long have you been out here?" Derek's throat was dry. "Few months, sir. Few months." Richard stepped closer, studying him like a specimen under a microscope. "And in those few months, what have you learned?" "Hey, before we continue, drop a comment and let me know where you're watching from. And if you're enjoying this story, hit that subscribe button. You won't want to miss what happens next. Trust me." Derek blinked rain out of his eyes. "I've learned that people don't see you when you're down here." "Wrong." Richard's voice was sharp. "People see you perfectly well. They just don't care. There's a difference." He pulled out his wallet, and Derek's heart leapt. But Richard didn't take out money. He took out a business card. "Here's what's going to happen, boy. You think you're stuck, don't you? You think life dealt you a bad hand, and this is all there is?" Derek didn't answer. Felt like a trap. "I'm going to give you a challenge," Richard continued. 72 hours. 3 days. I want you to prove to me that you're not just another kid with excuses. Prove to me you've got something inside you worth saving. And if I do?" Richard's smile was cold. "Then I'll change your life today. Job, apartment, education, everything. But if you fail..." He leaned in close. "You go back to this corner, and you never ask me or anyone else for help again. Deal?" Derek's hands trembled as he took the business card. What choice did he have? Deal. The address on the card led Derek to a warehouse in Brooklyn. The rain had stopped, but his clothes were still soaked, clinging to his thin frame. He knocked on the metal door 3 times. A woman answered. She was in her 50s, with kind eyes and calloused hands. "You must be Derek. Mr. Caldwell said you'd be coming. I'm Janet Morrison. I run the Hope Springs Community Center." "Community Center?" Derek followed her inside. The warehouse had been converted into a sprawling space. Basketball courts, computer stations, a kitchen, classrooms. "Mr. Caldwell is one of our biggest donors," Janet explained. "Your first test is simple. See those boxes?" She pointed to a mountain of donation boxes stacked 20 feet high. "We need them sorted, organized, and inventoried by tomorrow morning. Clothes in one section, canned goods in another, toys in another. Everything labeled and ready for distribution." Derek stared at the mountain. "By myself. Mr. Caldwell said you needed to prove yourself. Not that you needed help." Janet's smile was sympathetic but firm. "There's a cot in the back if you need to sleep. Coffee in the kitchen. Good luck, Derek." She left him there, alone with what seemed like an impossible task. Derek wanted to cry. He wanted to run. But he thought about sleeping on cardboard one more night, about the cold, about the hunger that gnawed at him like a living thing. He rolled up his sleeves and got to work. At 2:37 a.m., Derek's back was screaming. He'd sorted maybe a quarter of the boxes. His hands were raw. His eyes kept closing against his will. That's when he heard the door open. 4 teenagers walked in. They looked rough, baggy clothes, hard eyes, the kind of kids Derek recognized. Street kids, like him. The tallest one, a Latino kid with a scar over his eyebrow, looked at Derek. "You're the one old man Caldwell is testing?" Derek stood up, defensive. "Yeah." "Why?" "Because he tested us too." The kid broke into a grin. "I'm Miguel. This is Shanice, Tommy, and Lee. We all went through it. Different challenges, same deal. 72 hours to prove ourselves. Shanice, a black girl with her hair in tight braids, nodded. He changed all our lives. Got me into culinary school. Miguel's in community college now. Tommy's learning carpentry. And Lee's studying nursing. We heard through Janet you were here, Lee added, her voice soft. And we wanted to help. Pay it forward. You know? Derek felt something crack in his chest. You'd do that? For me? Nobody makes it alone, Miguel said. That's the real test. Not whether you can do it by yourself, but whether you're smart enough to accept help when it's offered. Whether you can build something with other people. They worked through the night together, talking, laughing, sharing stories of the streets and dreams of the future. By 8 a.m., every box was sorted, labeled, and organized like a military operation. Janet arrived with breakfast sandwiches. Impressive, she said, eyeing the work. Mr. Caldwell will want to see you at noon. His office. The address is on the back of his card. Caldwell Industries occupied floors 47 through 52 of the Apex Tower. Derek felt out of place the moment he stepped into the marble lobby, even though Miguel had given him some clean clothes. Richard's secretary led him to an office the size of Derek's entire former high school classroom. Floor-to-ceiling windows showed Manhattan spread out like a toy city. Richard sat behind a massive desk, but he stood when Derek entered. You passed the first test, Richard said. You worked hard. You accepted help. You showed humility and persistence. But that was just the appetizer. Are you ready for the main course? Derek nodded, though his stomach churned. Tell me about your father. The question hit Derek like a punch. What? Your father. Where is he? I don't know. He left when I was 9. Why does that matter? Richard's expression softened in a way Derek hadn't seen before. Because 72 hours ago, a private investigator I hired found him. He's in Chicago. Remarried. 2 kids. Runs a successful accounting firm. He has no idea you've been living on the streets. Derek's world tilted. You found him? Why? Your second test, Richard said quietly. I've arranged for you to meet him. Tomorrow. I'll fly you there, put you up in a hotel. You'll sit across from the man who abandoned you, and you'll have a choice. You can rage at him, demand answers, make him feel the pain he caused you. Or, Richard paused, you can try to understand. Maybe even forgive. Forgive. Derek's voice cracked. He left us. My mom died 2 years later because she couldn't afford her medication. I ended up in foster care, and when that didn't work out, I ended up on the streets. And you want me to forgive him? I want you to free yourself, Richard said. Anger is a chain, Derek. It'll keep you prisoner your whole life. I'm not saying your father deserves forgiveness. I'm saying you deserve peace. Derek was crying now, hot tears streaming down his face. I don't know if I can do that. That's why it's a test. The flight to Chicago was Derek's first time on a plane. Richard didn't accompany him. This is your journey, he'd said, but he'd sent Janet. The hotel was nicer than any place Derek had ever been. He couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about his father's face, trying to remember it. 9 years was a long time. Did he even look the same? The meeting was set for a cafe in Lincoln Park. Neutral ground. Derek arrived 15 minutes early. He ordered a water he couldn't afford and didn't drink. Then he saw him. James Williams looked older, grayer, but it was definitely him. He wore a polo shirt and khakis. He looked normal, happy even. He scanned the cafe, and when his eyes found Derek, they went wide. Derek! James approached slowly, like Derek was a wild animal that might bolt. Is it really you? It's me. Derek's voice was flat. They sat. For a long moment, neither spoke. I've been looking for you, James finally said. For years. After your mother died. God. I'm so sorry about Carol. I loved her. I still do, in a way. When I heard she'd passed, I tried to find you, but the foster system. You moved around so much. Then you vanished. I vanished. Derek's anger surged. You vanished. You left us. I did. James's eyes filled with tears. I was 26 years old, broke, terrified, and stupid. I had untreated depression and anxiety. I thought your mother and you would be better off without me dragging you down. I thought I was the problem. So I ran. And by the time I got my head straight, by the time I built a life worth coming back to, I couldn't find you. You expect me to believe that? No, James shook his head. I expect you to hate me. I hate myself for it. Not a day goes by that I don't think about you. You have two half-sisters, Derek, Emma and Sophie. They're 8 and 6. I've told them about you, shown them pictures. They want to meet you. Derek's hands were shaking. Why? Why tell them about the son you abandoned? Because you're my biggest regret. And my greatest hope. James reached across the table but didn't touch Derek. I can't undo what I did. I can't give you back those years. But I can be here now. If you'll let me. No pressure. No expectations. Just a chance. Derek looked at this man. This stranger who was his father. And felt something shift inside him. The anger was still there. The hurt was still there. But underneath it, like water under ice, there was something else. Curiosity. Hope. The smallest possibility of healing. I don't forgive you, Derek said. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But I don't want to be angry forever. And I'd like to meet my sisters. If that's okay. James smiled through his tears. That's more than okay. That's everything. Derek returned to New York feeling lighter and heavier at the same time. He'd spent 2 days in Chicago. Met Emma and Sophie, who tackled him with hugs like they'd known him forever. Had dinner with James's wife, Rachel, who was kind and didn't ask questions. Started the long, painful process of rebuilding something from ruins. Richard was waiting in his office when Derek arrived for the final test. How was Chicago? Hard. Good. I don't know. Derek sat down without being asked. Something had changed in him. He held himself differently. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to say. The truth is always acceptable. Richard leaned back in his chair. Your final test isn't something I'm going to give you. It's something you're going to give yourself. I don't understand. Richard turned his computer monitor around. On the screen was a bank statement. Account holder, Derek Williams. Balance, $50,000. Derek's jaw dropped. What is this? Seed money. Yours, no strings attached. You passed all the tests, Derek. The work ethic. The humility. The forgiveness. You've proven you're worth the investment. Now I want to see what you do with it. What I do with it. You could spend it. Blow it all in 6 months on things that don't matter. Or you could invest it. In yourself. In education. In a business. In helping others who are where you were. The choice is entirely yours. That's the final test. Not what you do when someone is watching, but what you do when no one is. Derek stared at the screen, his mind racing. $50,000. He could eat, sleep in a real bed. But Miguel's words echoed in his head. Nobody makes it alone. I want to use some of it for school, Derek said slowly. Finish high school. Maybe community college. And I want to help Janet's center. Expand the programs. And, he paused. I want to set up a fund to help other kids like me. Kids on the streets. Give them the same chance you gave me. Richard's face was unreadable. Then he smiled. Really smiled. You just passed. There's something you should know, Richard said, standing and walking to the window. Something I haven't told you. Derek felt a chill. What? 35 years ago, I was you. Richard's voice was quiet. 18 years old. Living on the streets of Boston. Hungry, angry, lost. Then a man found me. His name was Samuel Morrison. He gave me the same challenge I gave you. 72 hours to prove myself. 3 tests. And when I passed, he changed my life. Morrison. Derek's eyes widened. Janet Morrison at the center? His daughter. She was just a little girl when her father helped me. When he died 10 years ago, he left me a letter. Made me promise to do for others what he did for me. To find young people who just needed a chance. Miguel, Shanice, Tommy, Lee. 17 others over the years. And now you. Richard turned to face Derek. But here's what Samuel taught me that I need to teach you. This wasn't about proving yourself to me, Derek. It was about proving yourself to yourself. You were never worthless. You were never less than. You were just lost. And now you're found. Derek's vision blurred with tears. Why me? Because I saw myself in you. And because someone saw themselves in me once. Richard extended his hand. Welcome to the family, Derek. You're not alone anymore. Derek took his hand, and for the first time in years, he believed in tomorrow. 5 years later, Derek Williams graduated from Columbia University with a degree in social work. The Williams Foundation, which he founded at 19, has helped over 300 homeless youth get off the streets. He splits his time between New York and Chicago, where he's rebuilt a relationship with his father and sisters. Miguel runs the Brooklyn branch of the foundation. Shanice opened her own restaurant and caters all their fundraising events. Tommy builds tiny homes for homeless families. Lee works as an ER nurse, treating the population others ignore. Richard Caldwell attended Derek's college graduation, sat in the front row, cheered the loudest. And on 5th Avenue, outside the Grand Metropolitan Hotel, there's a bronze plaque now. It reads, "This corner honors all those who have stood here seeking help. May we never stop seeing them. May we never stop caring." Derek put it there himself, because he never forgot what it felt like to be invisible, and he made damn sure no one else would have to be. If the story touched you, don't forget to subscribe for more powerful stories like this. And drop a comment below. What would you do with a second chance? Let's talk about it.